Thanks everybody for being here. As Elizabeth said, my name is Mark Summers. I'm really excited to be standing in front of you today and offer a few thoughts about ERA. A couple months ago, I was preparing another presentation. I don't remember what the event was for, and I decided to solicit the opinion of my very intelligent wife. I was going through the slides talking about all of the great work that ERA has done, the companies that we've invested in, the technologies that are being advanced through our investments, and my wife said, "Mark, stop. People just want to know how to get your money." So I've tried to design the slides today to answer what I think are probably the three most important questions on people's mind. What do we fund at ERA? Who do we fund at ERA? And most importantly, how do you get your hands on our money? So with that, now, of course, I want to offer a little bit of a context for those who aren't familiar with ERA about the organization before I move on. So ERA is a not-for-profit funding organization based in the province and focused on the province of Alberta. We were created in 2009 with the sole purpose of reinvesting some of the revenue that is collected through Alberta's carbon price on large industrial emitters. We have a mandate, as Steve mentioned earlier, to accelerate innovative technology solutions that will help secure Alberta's success in a lower carbon economy. And our vision as an organization is for Alberta to be recognized as an innovation and technology leader in the low carbon world of tomorrow. So our business plan has identified three strategic priorities you can see here: accelerating technology, driving commercialization, and maximizing impact. And when I talk about impact, I'm really talking about impact in four of the easily decipherable categories that you see at the bottom of the screen here. The first of which Steve mentioned already, and that's environmental improvement, environmental performance. More specifically, greenhouse gas emissions reductions and improving carbon productivity in the province of Alberta. Secondly, of course, are economic benefits such as economic diversification, investment into the province of Alberta, and job creation. Third is the creation, advancement, and commercialization of new innovative technologies. And finally, collaboration and partnerships, of course. So just to give a quick snapshot and build on what Elizabeth said of the investments that we've made to date, we have invested around $385 million into 129 projects, but we've been very fortunate in many of our previous investments to get great leverage on our dollars. The 129 projects that we've invested in represent a total investment of almost $3 billion, about $2.6 billion. And the projects, among those 129 projects, we expect to see almost 30 megatons of emissions reductions in Alberta by the year 2030. And those projects are estimated to have a GDP impact in Alberta of well over $2 billion, and not to mention several $100 million across the country of Canada in addition to that as well, and create more than 15,000 person years of employment. So now to the more pertinent questions, which are around what we fund, who we fund, and how we fund it. In terms of what we fund, there was a slide earlier that talked about, and Elizabeth already mentioned the role that we play in the innovation spectrum. So what we fund, first and foremost, and I want to be really clear about this, are projects, capital P projects that have a very clear objective, milestones, deliverables, timelines, and budget. And what we mean by a project is taking a technology really from point A to point B in terms of accelerating it toward commercialization. And the projects that we fund are really at the latter half, so sort of one notch up from where SDTC funds in terms of the technology readiness level spectrum. So these are, generally speaking, field pilots, demonstration projects, and first-of-kind commercial implementation projects. And these projects can be in any of the four strategic focus areas that have been outlined in our business plan here, including reducing the footprint of fossil fuel production, low carbon or low emissions electricity supply, biological resource optimization and biotechnology, and of course industrial process efficiency. But ultimately, these four areas are broad enough that just about any opportunity to reduce greenhouse gas emissions and improve carbon productivity in Alberta can fit into one of these buckets somehow. All right, so in terms of who we fund, the simple answer is we can fund just about anybody. We have no restrictions. We can fund individuals, organizations, government research labs, just about anything under the sun. But in reality, our portfolio is comprised mostly of these 6 groups here, including large industrial emitters, small and medium enterprises, post-secondary research institutions, and the others that you see in front of the screen. And just to give you an example in a sense, I think the 3 that I mentioned represent the largest portion of our portfolio, with over 50% of our projects being invested in small and medium enterprises, followed secondly by post-secondary institutions, as well as large industrial emitters. But of course, many of our projects, like SDTC, involve partnerships between SMEs and large industrial emitters that represent a market pull for the technologies that are being created. So finally, and most importantly, how does one access funds from ERA? And there are really 2 answers to that question. The first, and through which we invest most of our dollars, is a call for proposals process. We've historically and continue to launch more or less, roughly speaking, 2 calls for proposals on an annual basis. We launched one at the end of March this year around industrial efficiency. The submission period closed at the end of May, and we're deliberating on the projects right now. We're hoping to launch another call for proposals in the next 2 to 4 weeks. We can't speak much about it publicly, but it is going to be the best. And so anytime we launch a call for proposals, we have a detailed guidelines document available, we have very specific timelines associated with the call, and we hold a public information webinar to talk about the call and to answer questions that folks might have about the application process. And this entire process is overseen by a fairness monitor to make sure that all applicants are treated fairly and equitably throughout the process. Now, the second answer to that question is through our partnership intake program. And our partnership intake program is really in partnership with mostly the folks that you see around the room today, the tables around the edges of the room. And this is not really intended to be a backdoor to submitting an application into ERA, but rather for opportunities that don't align with the timing of our call or the subject matter of our call, but come in and are working with our trusted partner organizations such as SDTC and others, but are a really good fit for ERA, they can be referred to us through our trusted partnership process. And finally, I'll mention, you can see the application process that we have in here. I won't go into detail, happy to talk about it with anyone, but we have a 2-stage evaluation process that starts with expressions of interest and moves on to full project proposals, followed with execution of the project. The last slide that I want to leave with you today is the ERA core team. Not everyone is here today, but most of the folks are here, including our fearless leader and moral compass, Steve McDonald, our executive director of policy and strategy, also known as our EVP of everything, Elizabeth Shirt. Amanda, who is our office manager, is out front and handed everyone their name tags. And who you don't see on this screen is our director of communications, standing at the back of the room, Michelle Gurney, who is responsible for making everything look pretty in the organization. So please feel free to come and talk to us throughout the day. And thank you very much.